actually have an intro now. Yeah, it's not just awkward silence until one person talks. We actually have sound effects from James Miller's non-wing sprint car in the pits at Western Speedway and doing some hot laps that Chris Miller put together here. And Chris, you want to explain why we might have to go back and forth with a microphone here?
Cheaped out on the mics, and we're down one.
Yeah, Chris went to stretch and get his beer, and the microphone did not survive the journey to the Miller Lite, unfortunately. I guess it's time to introduce our guest for the second Short Track Radio podcast. It is the first person who asked to be on it, Brad Aumen. Brad, how you doing tonight?
Oh, not too bad. Better
Brad,
than that mic over there, I guess.
Yeah, that mic is pretty pooch there. But Brad, obviously, you were interested in doing this, and then on the drive over, maybe a little bit of nerves. I know public speaking is your forte.
Definitely not my forte, Cole. You know that from the Bomber season. Honestly, never been this nervous to do anything, honestly. When I'm out there on the car, it's totally different, but we'll see how this goes.
Now, I think, during that Bomber season, give you the Brad Aumen Guide to Victory Lane interviews. Have you looked at that since, or did you guys lose it?
I think I turfed it in the garbage there. No, it was actually good. I just, you think of things to say when you're out there or whatever, but your mind just goes blank, 100%. At least me, when Cole sticks the mic and there's a bunch of people in front of me, I just read the names on the car, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest things, and definitely you want to make the sponsor logos as big as possible, and maybe get the priority sponsors on the left side of the car, so I don't have to go on a walk to the right side. But of course, Brad, you started out in Hornets a while ago, and for those of you who don't know, Brad's dad, Scott Aumen, the tire fryer, ran Northern Sprint Tour back in the 90s, early 2000s, and transitioned over to asphalt, won, about 5, I think, Will Rock Sprint Car Championships in the wing class, something like that.
Something, yeah.
4, I think, and then 5 Daffodil Cup wins, and then, of course, had the extensive aforementioned dirt career. I guess that's kind of how you got snookered into racing, Brad. You grew up in it and around it.
Every vacation I've ever had was on the road to the dirt track with my twin brother. Growing up in the hauler with the VMAC crew and all that was just great way to grow up, honestly. Playing in the mud with my uncle and my brother is just awesome times. Wish I was just a little bit older to actually get in there and work on the cars, to actually be a part of the dirt racing and whatnot, but it was good being a bystander.
With Scott Aumen as your dad, do you feel that you have to fill those shoes at all, or is like his accomplishments just his and you kind of do you, or do you ever feel that you have to fill those shoes?
Yes and no sometimes, because we're all just competitive by nature, you know what I mean? So of course I want to win, of course I want to go out and turn the best laps I can, do everything I can the best, but a lot of people don't realize, my dad raced dirt cars for 15 years before any of you guys knew him, and he had he didn't have all this success he had on the asphalt, so he just teaches me that, you just got to keep plugging away, and you're not always just going to drive around the guy and be the best, you got to work and work and work, which I began to learn the hard way, actually, so, no, I wouldn't say there's any shoes to fill. I just want to do the best for me and, get to the front and win. That's why we're all there.
And, of course, definitely in sprint car racing, you're not going to win first time out. Those cars are a completely different animal from pretty much anything out at Western. You got, again, your start in Hornets. Maybe tell us a little bit about how you started to dabble in oval track racing.
Actually, it wasn't even an oval track. My first couple races, it was. I don't even know if you were around, Cole, but the 2-hour winter enduros were my debut at the Speedway. In the snow, the rain, or whatever they wanted to do. My uncle Cody Aumen, he actually just got a dwarf car this year, but we bought him a mid-90s Ford Escort. Me and my brother helped him gut it out, and we threw in a cage, and he ran that year, and we thought it was pretty cool. So we built him a faster car, tried to get him some wins, and then I thought this was pretty cool. Playing baseball was getting pretty boring, honestly, so we built a car, and I did one full season of the 200-lap, 2-hour enduro with Darren Yates. A lot of actually good drivers. You learn quite a bit.
Yeah, I was not around for the winter enduro. I was kind of glad I wasn't up there in the booth freezing my butt off for that. But of course, that must have been fun. I've seen pictures and video of it sloshing around in the slush around the tractor tires.
Yeah, one of my first good wrecks was collected into one of those tractor tires. They don't move very good for a 91 Integra, actually.
I don't think they really move good for anything. It's supposed to soften the blow, but I've seen it hurt a lot of race cars.
I don't think my radiator thought it was soft at all, honestly.
No, and maybe moving up to the Bombers. Obviously, you transition from the winter enduro Hornets up into the actual roundy round stuff, and had a little bit of success in those, and then the bomber car kind of came around there, and you managed to win the championship in the first year in that class.
Yeah, we had a great first year in the Bombers. We had, honestly had no idea what our expectation was coming in for the year. We just wanted get an actual race car, get out of the Hornets, getting into the V8s. It was honestly a shock that we even won one race, and it was just a blessing to get the championship and how things fell like they did.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting there halfway through the season. You had obviously had a good first half of the year, and then you had a few wrecks that had to do a lot of repairs to the car, and kind of found out that maybe this championship might not have been as easy to win as you thought at the start of the year.
Yeah, like I said, we honestly didn't go in looking for a championship or anything. I just wanted to finish races and learn, that's about it. When we were in the championship race, it was honestly a shock, so we just kept racing, and we had a couple bad wrecks, but we just, kept plugging along trying to finish. And then it ever just kind of happened that the last race we were in first in points and had a decent lead, so I think we had to finish like 8 spots ahead of the second place guy, so couldn't have worked out any better.
So let's talk about your Wheel Rock rookie season. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with buying a brand new car? How was that?
How about getting into the car? With your old man, actually.
Oh, that's right.
You took it around. He told me to bring my suit on the practice night of James' rookie season. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And I took actually your old timer around, and I thought that was it. And then everyone's standing in a circle, and Jim told me to throw on my suit and take Jim Giles' old sprint car around. And there's a couple wet patches on the track. It was pretty nerve-wracking, actually, but
yeah, I remember coming in and being like, "Holy!" Like going from the old timer to the sprint car is like huge difference. And you get in there, you hit the gas the first time, like when you start in the engine is whoa, like power difference. So, so do you think that like my dad played a part in you getting a sprint car?
100%. Other than
addicted.
Exactly, man. I've always wanted to be a sprint car driver since, day one, of course, watching my old man on the dirt, but yeah. I don't know if he was just crazy, I don't know. Like he here, go take a step in this open wheel car. And he was my boss at the time, so I guess he had some sort of faith in me. And I kept her in one piece, drove it around, and honestly, I didn't sleep that whole night. For 2 weeks later, I looked at my bomber car, and it just wasn't doing it for me, so had to go see what the bank had to say, I guess.
So you bought a good car. The car that you did buy, was a fast car, I think championship-winning car at one point. Am I wrong? It was up there, top 5, right?
We're talking Dieter's car?
Yeah.
Sorry, okay.
And you raced how many races with that car? 3? 4?
One?
One race.
One main event.
Yeah, Cole's
Come
got
on,
the
Chris.
stats
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I'll throw the stats. Brad had this very nice wide-body Lejeune, one of the last full Lejeune cars built at Lejeune, or I think it was kind of half-finished when Lejeune stopped building cars, and Brad took the shiny off of it in the second race that he was in. And Brad, maybe want to delve into what happened there. I think it was a nice sunny night in May, if I'm not mistaken.
Took the shine off it. I like that, Cole. It was in the heat race. I think the green-white checkered came out, and Jim, Chris's dad, got me, and I played in my head. I was like, okay, I'm going to have a good restart here, and let off a little early and try to dive under Jim and get him on the backstretch. And obviously getting off it early did not happen. I'd like to say the brakes failed or the throttle stuck, but no one really knows. I don't know. It all happened so quick. And when I jumped over Jim, actually the rear brake line ripped off. The left front was flat, so I only had air in my right front tire, and your foot is inserted into the gas pedal on a sprint car. So when you land, there's no way you can not trump the gas as hard as you can. So it seems like the throttle's stuck. So that's really my end of it. I'm just glad I could hop out of the car, and talk about it right now, really.
And if you haven't seen it, go on. I think it's on Shane Ward's Facebook page, or it's on YouTube somewhere. Brad going into turn 1, right where the Richlock Reynolds sign. If anybody's been at Western Speedway, where the wall kind of goes flat, they have some water barrels. Brad kind of hit head on and pushed the left front tire back into the headers and twisted the thing into a U. Pretty much, it was a pretty interesting experience for you.
Yep. Yeah, it was, second race. It's pretty, I don't even know what the right word is.
Between Jim, James, and you rode off 3 sprint cars this year.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
Miller Family Racing's got you by 1 car.
Yeah. It just takes it out of you, really. The week after, I didn't even think about putting the car together. I didn't even, it wasn't even on my mind, but my dad knew we had a race in 2 weeks. Darren Yates knew it. All these guys helped me, so we pulled my dad's old chassis out of the weeds, and I'm not joking about that. Like, it's rusty, had cobwebs, all that fun stuff. So we put a car together in a couple of weeks, and which was not my choice. I was totally down on my luck. I just didn't want to do it, just being negative, which was just not really what to do. But my dad is, he's done it a couple times, so he picked me up, and a couple other guys. Like I said, I got a lot of guys helping me out in the shop behind the scenes, and Kenny Haskell, and we got her together. So, and I'm happy about that. We had a great weekend coming back, Strawberry Cup, except for our brake issues, but that's another story, I guess.
Yeah, the brakes kind of kept locking on you, which made for a few interesting moments trying to push the thing off. And in qualifying, I think you had some problems with it too.
Well, I think just the Masters got screwed up or something when we wrecked. We're still not sure, honestly. But coming back from a big wreck like that, you're really cautious to like just to start, and then when you're pumping the brake pedal down the front stretch and you don't have anything, that kind of worry in the back of your head. But by the heat race, we got some breaks in it, which kind of settled me down a bit, and we had a good weekend.
I just have a quick question. Now, you grew up around the track longer than I did, because my dad took a big break in time there. Does your dad's crew, like, obviously they still help you out, but is that part of the racing community? Because I found out this year, obviously with Dad crashing, that the racing community is now a big part of my family and a big part of my life. Do you feel that when you get in a big wreck like that? How they rally behind you, kind of?
Now that you say that, it's something you definitely think about all the time. Like, Shane Woolcock, he gave me a radiator, he gave me an axle, he gave me a one-off hood. They don't make these, or you're paying big money to find it, and he just gave it to me. So I think Neil Montgomery actually offered up your brother's chassis to me, if I'm not mistaken, and Michael Haslam, he offered up another chassis. Just amazing community, like you said, like you were talking about on your first podcast. But you won't find that anywhere else. You know what I mean? Just never. No one's gonna take my $1,000 parts and go run them. Like Darren Yates told me to go and put my motor in his brand new sprint car. Just said go run it and don't worry about it. Like, you'd never see that at any other sporting event. So it's great.
Yeah, and I'd just like to thank you for getting a story I did for the Goldstream Gazette on the front page of the Gazette and the front page of the Island newspaper as well. So thanks for that, Brad.
What? Did I miss something? What?
Yeah, you did. It was, I wrote a little article. It was only supposed to be a race report that got buried in the back pages of the sports section.
Okay.
And I attached a photo of your car at the moment of impact with the rear end reared up. Yeah. And they put it on the front page of both papers.
Okay.
So you were front page news.
So you remember that? I kind of probably phased that out just a wee bit, But no, that's cool. Mention me when you're all big and famous. That was your first big thread. How about that?
Yeah, I'll see. I'll see if I remember. We'll go back in the memory bank for that. But obviously, the second half of the year, you had the car pieced together. You had pretty much every single color of the rainbow represented on it. But it still ran pretty good for being actually dragged out of the weeds and thrown together in about a week and a half. Obviously, learning how to drive one of these cars presents a lot of challenges.
Yeah. A lot of guys say, oh, it'll be like the Bomber, or, you'll get used to it, you'll be good. But, shoot, were they wrong? It's such a different ball game, My dad says I mashed the gas, and I did not know what he meant until I had raced a sprint car, honestly. It's just such a different ball game. Everything's different. There's no, one little screw up. If I did that same screw up in a Bomber car, I would have bumped the guy and we would have kept racing. But in a sprint car, you drive over a guy's left rear and you're flipping and you're wrecking a lot of stuff real quick.
Yeah, and all three people actually sitting at the table have driven a sprint car, so I can tell you that the throttle response in those things is very crisp, and if you think you're pushing down on it lightly, you might not be, and things happen way before you expect them to.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly, yeah. You're going that much faster. Your head, everything breaks down in your mind. You're a Hornet. It seems like you're just ripping 100 miles an hour, or in a sprint car, it honestly seems like you're going the same speed, but really you're not. Everything happens, just like you said, 4 times as fast.
So Cole just mentioned that you guys had every color of the rainbow. You guys know that you can buy spray cans, right? And paint the car. You don't have to run 900 different colors.
We did not know that, Chris.
No comment.
Come on. Hey,
get a sponsor for that or something.
Honestly, we planned to repaint it, and then every panel was sideways and zip tied on, and it was just such a gong show, you know. And then me and Tony Stringer painted it originally. We just decided, you know what, we talked to a couple of the big sponsors, you know, if they don't mind that we don't have their name all flashy on the car, we're just going to save the money and just get back at it next year, which we did.
Yeah, so you and Tony kind of figured it out this year, and you got it all painted up again?
Yep, Colonial Railings actually powder coated it for me. They got some new ownership in there, and they're just great. I don't know if Tower Fence in Langford there took over Colonial probably about a year ago, maybe 8 months ago now, but they're a great bunch of people in there. They powder coated my car. So yeah, it's going to be looking nice and gray and blue this year. We got a couple other sponsors on board, actually. Precision Refrigeration, they're on board. You're going to see their sponsors. Actually, that's the whole blue and gray theme is Precision Refrigeration.
Nice, and obviously doing some work to the car in the off season. What have you guys been busy doing over there in Duncan?
Without spilling all your secrets.
Yeah, we can't let go of all the secrets.
That's funny, you know. We honestly, after Jim's crash, we wanted to totally just relook at all our safety stuff. You know, we had a good halo before, but we just basically chopped. Kenny Haskell at ANA did all of this work for me. He made the halo way better, you know. We moved it up a couple inches, moved it forward, just way stronger. We dropped my seat 2 inches lower. And like I said, we pulled that car out of the weeds. So we cleaned up with just a bunch of, you know, when you build a car in 12 days, you tend to put a bunch of crap on it, you know. Like you just throw stuff at it. That works. It's going to work. Do it, you know. So we're trying to eliminate all that, and Kenny Haskell did a lot of good work over there, over the winter to it, actually.
And so, obviously, talking about safety and going through all the cars, it's kind of a priority in the sprint cars to make sure that everything's in good condition. You have to always be double checking that kind of stuff in one of these things.
Yeah, 100%. We always knew safety was a huge thing, 100%. But when crash hits so close to home, you know, you just stuff like that can't happen. So you just prevent as much as you can. You know, you just want to look at all your safety gear over 10 times, check everything again. Like, you know, spend a couple $100 more on stuff or whatever, better belts, you know, bolt-on belts. There's just a plethora of stuff you could get, you know.
So let's talk about, you obviously, again, grew up at the track, and what is a memory that you can think of that wasn't a win that, like, sticks out to you? And in all your days of racing, whether it be being a fan or being in the car.
Good question. Shoot, you're just springing these on me, eh? You know, one of the most memorable things, honestly, I don't know if any of you guys have been to Skagit Speedway. There's a huge grass bank that you can basically, you know, set up your lawn chair, or you don't actually have to sit in the stands. So me and my brother being little tykes running around, and my uncle and whatnot, we'd always set up on the grass, and all the dirt would come flinging up on you all over you. So you know, as little kids, we'd collect all that dirt up, and it was, you know, mud, and we would legitimately make mud huts and, you know, have mud fights, and that's kind of stupid, you know what I mean? I don't know, but that was honestly one of the coolest things, you know, just straight up being a kid at the track. You know, you see your dad doing this awesome thing, as well as you get to, you know, be a kid and mud and throw, and, you know, it's okay because it's everywhere no matter what. You can't get nothing dirty.
Yeah, of course, it's always fun at the dirt track, and especially at the Skagit. That place has a really cool atmosphere and cool bunch of fans backing it. And of course, ever get the itch to go run on the dirt?
If we had a dirt track, I'd be there, you know, right now. But I'm just starting school on Monday, actually, so I'm now an unemployed bum. So not in the next 4 years till I become a journeyman and whatnot. Actually, I got to get a good job to pay for my really bad habit that I've gotten myself into, I guess. But I do want to get on the dirt again. It's just BC Ferries, just the dollar right now. There's just a lot of things that kind of set you back, but it's definitely something I want to, sling some dirt and actually see how that goes.
Yeah, obviously, it'd be nice if Cassidy was still involved and wasn't now all just trees and a campground surrounded by people complaining. But fortunately, we do have 2 racetracks still in operation on the island. But unfortunately, for some sprint car fans, they don't have dirt or clay on top of them. They are asphalt. But we do appreciate those 2 tracks being open, and obviously, one employs me.
100%.
So
that's cool.
That's good. I like that that aspect of it. But Chris, got anything else to add?
No, why don't we talk about where you finished in the points and your rookie season? I think you did a great job. You didn't DNF except for the one.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a good start. But you talk about where you finished in the points.
Like I said, after that crash and having some brake problems, and when was it? Shoot, Cole, you probably know this better than me.
The crash?
No. Just when I started to kind of pick it up.
Oh, when you start.
After my second time at Saratoga, when I thought I got around Brandon French and Dwayne Zeinster on the outside at Saratoga, and I couldn't quite finish. I hopped Dwayne's tire, and I was pretty upset about myself. But that's, after that second race at Saratoga, there was kind of when it switched. It's like, started to be in smoother, not being so erratic. Got a car that works, we're getting set up down a bit. I'd say after my last race, which was only my second time at Saratoga, is when it kind of switched just for the better. I didn't seem as sketchy, is really all it was.
Obviously, your dad has to coach. How involved is he, and how many times have you had to say, "Okay, Dad, back off just a tiny bit"?
He is 100% involved with everything we do to all of these race cars. That's why they go like they do. Nobody, not me, my uncle, or my brother, would be out there if it wasn't for my old man, honestly. He puts just countless hours into both cars. It's just crazy. He never stops. He never complains. He never this or that. He's always trying to, get the edge. If it's with one thing or the other, motor, tires, this or that, he just does, everything to the best of his knowledge and ability to help us go, and which I'm so grateful for.
So we know that Dad is 100% involved. How does Mom feel about all you guys racing?
She's 110% involved. She's been around racing forever. She loves it. She was at the dirt track. She, carrying us around the dirt track. If she wasn't into it, it just wouldn't work. It's one of those things where it's 100% family. If she didn't like it, I'm sure I'd still make my way out of there, and I'm sure she'd come and support me, but it just wouldn't be the same. I got my grandparents on both sides supporting me. Actually, my car lives at my grandpa's shop. He actually scooted out a couple fire trucks to make some room for a dwarf car and a sprint car. So me and my uncle are just so happy about that. You asked about my mom, but this thing is 100% a family game. My bomber car, I was running out of money. My brother he bought me a seat, like it's just such a cool thing that, when your brother is out here buying you stuff and you get out of your car and you got your cousin, your uncle, your dad, and everyone high-fiving you, it's awesome.
Yeah, I know all about that. My brother foots the bill, or he just told me today that I got to start paying for some stuff, so pretty bummed out about that. But yeah, I completely understand that whole family aspect of it.
Yeah, and how cool has it been to see your twin there, Braden, really tearing it up in the dwarf cars this year?
It's awesome, man. I think my bomber season, he raced 4 Hornet races. He did a couple. I don't think he ever won one, but he had a couple strong finishes there with, a tough Hornet class actually. If Jason Day, that thing's moved. So, and any night, that's a tough guy to beat. So, he decided he wanted another car, and we were looking at dwarf cars. We didn't know too much about them, but they're actually, they're mini sprint cars, or a little mix and match of late model and a sprint car, and they're really cool actually. I'm so glad him and Cody got them. They're just great class of guys, great racing. Just Stuart Lee got him there at the end, for the second. But it's awesome just seeing my brother go quick, and he's got the will to win, just like all of us. So it's great. Just see how the next year pans out for him.
Yeah, and he does give slightly better interviews than you. He does kind of know what to say. We can extend it a little bit, but he's got the basis down.
I'm not here for the interviews, Cole. Come on.
That's okay. I haven't got to Victory Square with Cole yet, but
it's been a dry spell for
James
me,
is
actually.
pretty bad at them. So.
No.
Yeah, I haven't had James either. Actually, well, I have had him for second, but I haven't managed it. How many times?
The old time.
I wasn't around when he won in the old timers. I know. I'm that young. That's just that's all my summers is people going, "Oh, you must have been around for that." And I was like, "No, I was like 6 months old."
Yeah, folks, he is not 45 years old. His voice sounds like it, but no, he's not.
No, if you do see this skinny little lanky kid walking up the stairs towards the announcer booth, that is the announcer.
How old are you now? 18?
Yeah.
You can't even drink a beer yet. Poor guy.
I mean, that hasn't stopped.
Hey, you're on air.
No, it's okay. They didn't have the mic on before me. Well, if you did hear that in the background, what I said, we'll just edit it out. It's fine. Works out well. But obviously, still talking with Brad here. Going into the 2018 season, what are your kind of expectations for this year and your second year in a non-wing sprint car?
To finish every race. That's the expectation we had starting the year last year, but I did not know what that really meant. You know what I mean? Like, you say, oh yeah, you just got to finish every race and do it, but that is a task in the Whale Rock class. It's just crazy out there, but I just need to finish every single race. With these cars, if you finish every race and then, get down to race 8 and race 10, I almost guarantee you're going to find yourself in the championship race. Like, I think last year, I was 8th or 9th quick, and there was a 10th in between the top 10 cars. Like a 10th of a second. That is unheard of for sprint cars, So it's a tough battle out there. Really, all I got to say is just, finish every race, keep 4 tires on the ground, and just have good finishes and try to have good races with the guys.
And obviously that's what you have to do, trying to keep a consistent spot and try and keep her all together and not have too much work on Sunday to look at.
Yeah, just reckon even if it's just the slightest spin out and you bend a rim, you're set back every week from a wreck. You can't, you're just working to fix it. That's all you're ever doing. It's just a chore, that's all it is. But when you finish good, you finish second or a strong third, and, you work on the car to make it faster. You don't, change, you don't fix the car. You just work on going faster and work on hitting the line, and you got maybe a bit more time to study some video and not in the shop thrashing to get the thing ready, but actually some prep work and try to go a bit quicker.
So, how does your obviously you said you're going to school, so obviously you're being funded by some type of sponsorship. How is that going for you? Are you getting any sponsors? I know you got a couple new ones this year.
I started last year actually this is not really about racing, but with my roommate Tristan, started electrician. Sorry, I can't talk. But Terry McKay, he also sponsors me. So just being around the job site all the time is just, you just start asking guys, hey, you want to sponsor something cool and not just a billboard like a sprint car? So it actually gets guys' heads turning. Like I mentioned earlier, I got Precision Refrigeration. That's my roommate's dad's company. Just totally out of the blue, just talking to him one night, and now we're painting their company colors on the car. We got it silver and blue for those guys, so that's a huge one. Another local company, Sean Septic. My neighbor, J.M. McLeod Construction. Another guy we do work for, Donnie Raymond Construction. Just all local guys, which I love to see. It's awesome, supporting someone they know, and supporting the local guy. Colonial, I already mentioned, and I got a lot of buddies that help me out. My buddy Drayson, him and his dad's company, Globe Contracting, they help me out. He gives me cash out of his pocket. Like, you don't see that kind of stuff, like I said, with other sports. So, the only reason I get to do this and go to school and, just live like I want to live is because of all those guys I just mentioned. Plus, I got a bunch of other guys that behind me, like my dad, which I've mentioned 100 times, which I'll keep mentioning. A&A Performance Chassis, that's Kenny Haskell there. Mid-Island Engine. Omcon Systems is my grandpa's company and my auntie's, and they, that's my race car lives, so that's huge. McBride Service Station, Tiger Towing. Like, there's just so many guys that I could keep listing all day. That you need straight cash money to drive these things, as stupid as that sounds. But some of these guys are helping me out to make that happen this year.
It's amazing that Brad remembered all of those sponsors just off the top of his head, I think, actually. But Brad, you mentioned do you have a comeback? I'll let you, if you have a comeback.
Comeback for what? I remembered them all. Come on.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay, yeah. But you mentioned your dad, obviously, is somebody you looked up to in racing. Who are some other people that maybe you've looked up to and kind of admired over the years?
Just everyone around my old man's racing situation. Tony Menard, he was one guy that I was up at VMAC and Nanaimo almost every weekend, during the week with my brother, getting into some trouble, probably getting into some things, watching Happy Gilmore when we're 5 years old, because my dad's working on the car, and, oh yeah, sure, they're good to go, that's fine. But, Tony Menard, he owned VMAC, and after the tragic accident, we, obviously haven't been able to see him, but he was a big part just in my dad's racing life and mine as well. Also, Bob Exton, we watched him in the Old Timers. I don't know if you ever got to run against Bob, Chris?
I didn't race against him, but James did.
James did, yeah.
He's a great guy.
He helped my dad for a number of years, longer than I've been around. Tons of guys. Darren Yates, we always used to mess with them, come down, watch the asphalt races and say asphalt's for sissies. But no, we kind of bite our tongue on that one a little bit. But Darren was one of the big guys. He's helped me out in my career tremendously. But yeah, I'd say Darren, just those, there's other guys I'm definitely forgetting. But one of the cool things, actually, watching Casey Kane when he was 16 or 17 race against my old man, and seeing a couple years later, oh shoot, that guy's racing NASCARs for Team Hendricks, like the biggest race team in the world, and actually he signed my hat when I was 5 years old, and he was buddies with my dad. So just cool little stuff like that. It's cool.
Yeah, obviously you get those little things when you're running around the bull rings, and you get those connections that you make, and you can kind of follow people and see where they wind up. Kind of running close to our time limit that we're trying to have here tonight. But thanks, Brad, for coming on. I think Chris has one more question before we wrap things up.
Hope I
just where can they find you if you got a Facebook page or Instagram or anything for your car, anything like that?
Just Brad Aumen on Facebook, Aumen, or Instagram, whatever, Bradley Aumen. I'm sure you could find anything. I don't have an official race team like the Miller Family Racing. You guys got that all figured out. I'm not quite that high tech yet, but just look me up on Facebook if you ever want to find out some more about us. Maybe I guess I got to start posting some more stuff. Chris, sound like it or what?
Yeah, you should get on that. It helps out. You could check out Miller Family Racing at Miller Family Racing 71 on both Instagram and Facebook, and then Short Track Radio 1 on Facebook and Short Track Radio on Instagram. And here's cool.
I hope I didn't ramble on too much. Sounded like I was.
No, that's kind of the point. We just ask questions, and then the guest does most of the work.
That's what podcasts are. You just talk.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's the thing. And also, I just realized, sorry if you hear rattling. That's the mic being passed in between me and Chris. But hopefully, between the two of us, we can somehow figure out how to get that out in post. But
or hey, sponsor him. Come on,
yeah,
guys.
if you want to sponsor Short Track Radio, email shorttrackradio1@gmail.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram.
And again, as I'm inclined to mention, if you haven't liked the Western Speedway Facebook page, head on over there. If you want any information on Western Speedway's upcoming events, head to www.westernspeedway.ca for more information. Thanks for tuning in. We'll probably throw up another one of these next week, Friday or Saturday around then. And until next time, stay. What am I going to end this on, Chris? What should be the stay classy, San Diego?
Victoria.
Let's stay classy. Let's just do the Ron Burgundy. Stay classy, Victoria.